If you walked into a Kohl's recently, you might have seen crowds lining up for Amazon returns or browsing glossy new Sephora counters. Foot traffic was there. People were walking through the door. But on paper, the retailer was quietly falling apart. Within 3 years, Kohl's stock plummeted below $8 per share. They announced plans to shut down 27 stores across 15 states and fired their new CEO for cause after just 100 days on the job. So how does an iconic retailer with 1,170 stores and nearly $8 billion in real estate end up in freefall, even with millions of shoppers in their aisles? In 1986, when Kohl's was still a regional chain with roughly 40 stores, Bill Kellogg, John Herma, and Jay Baker led a management buyout from Bottas, backed by outside investors. Larry Montgomery joined the company 2 years later. 6 years later, in May 1992, they took the company public on the New York Stock Exchange and launched a store opening strategy so aggressive it's still studied in business schools. They avoided shopping malls entirely, building standalone boxes right along suburban highways. They carved out a perfect sweet spot, priced lower than traditional department store chains, but offering higher quality than dollar stores. And Kohl's ran an absolute masterclass in basket economics. They succeeded because they knew exactly what their customers actually wanted. The formula was brilliantly simple. You use big national brands at low prices to pull people through the front door. Once shoppers are inside, you stack the racks with high-margin, private label clothing designed entirely in-house. Layer on constant percent-off coupons with a store layout designed to get customers in and out in under 20 minutes. And Kohl's created a cash machine. National brands brought shoppers through the door, but exclusive private labels gave them giant, highly profitable baskets. The chain exploded past 1,100 stores and joined the S&P 500. Then came the 2010s. E-commerce exploded, Amazon arrived, and foot traffic across American retail began to drop. As Kohl's model began to soften, leadership panicked over a single problem: how to get physical bodies back into their stores. Instead of fighting the e-commerce titan that was disrupting them, Kohl's made a radical move. They reached directly across the aisle and struck a deal with Amazon to process Amazon returns right inside Kohl's stores. The logic seemed brilliant on paper. Amazon got physical drop-off locations for millions of customer returns, and Kohl's got guaranteed foot traffic stepping directly into their stores. By placing Amazon return desks at the back of their sales floor, leadership assumed millions of returners would walk past racks of clothes, get tempted, and buy something on their way out. To stand out in a softening retail market and pull in younger, trend-focused shoppers who were abandoning traditional malls, they expanded the strategy even further. They signed exclusive celebrity clothing lines like Vera Wang, LC Lauren Conrad, and Jennifer Lopez, and carved out prime sales floor space for Sephora beauty counters, all designed to turn Kohl's into an irresistible destination and drive even more foot traffic through the front door. By 2022, Kohl's ran 1,170 stores, spanning 82 million square feet of selling space. On the surface, the deal with Amazon and the traffic tactics worked. Millions of people were stepping inside. But behind the scenes, Kohl's was setting a fatal trap for itself. To make room for Amazon desks, Sephora counters, and new partner brands, they had to start cutting something else out. When Kohl's decided to roll out hundreds of Sephora shops and install dedicated Amazon return desks, they ran into a fundamental physical limit. They couldn't magically expand their buildings. Every square foot dedicated to a shiny new partnership had to be stolen from somewhere else on the sales floor. So what got sacrificed? It wasn't the overpriced national brands, it was the quiet workhorses of Kohl's financial empire, their private label apparel and core home goods. For decades, Kohl's private labels were the secret engine of their profitability. Brands designed entirely in-house gave Kohl's complete control over manufacturing costs, inventory, and gross margins. They were exclusive. If a customer wanted those specific jeans or that specific bath towel set, they had to buy it at Kohl's. But as leadership panicked over declining store visits, they quietly thinned out the racks, reduced warehouse inventory, and shrank floor space for these core categories. They traded away their highest margin, irreplaceable inventory to make room for impulse items, trend-focused displays, and third-party brands. On paper, executive presentations made the strategy look like a massive victory. Foot traffic numbers were moving in the right direction. Millions of people were stepping through the front doors to drop off Amazon packages or browse the new Sephora counters. But retail isn't just about how many feet walk over your welcome mat. It's about what those feet do once they get inside. And Kohl's leadership fell for a dangerous illusion. They confused foot traffic with actual sales conversion. Here's the cold reality of basket economics that Kohl's completely ignored. A person walking into a store to hand off an Amazon return isn't in a shopping mindset. They're on an errand. They walk straight to the back customer service desk, hand over their cardboard box, get their receipt, turn around, and walk straight back out to their car. They don't linger. They don't browse the clothing aisles. They don't pick up a pair of pants on the way out. They came to do a chore, not to spend money. The exact same problem played out at the Sephora counters. Sure, Sephora generated buzz and brought in younger shoppers looking for prestige beauty products, but a customer buying a single lip gloss or liquid eyeliner at a specialized Sephora register rarely crossed the main aisle to buy a private label sweater or a set of cookware. Sephora was creating localized growth in one tiny corner of the building, while the rest of the 80,000 square foot store sat completely quiet. It was an isolated win inside a failing ecosystem. So why did a traffic-driving playbook that built an empire in the 1990s fail so catastrophically today? Because 30 years ago, the traffic drivers in the store's core inventory shared the exact same shopping intent. When Kohl's used big national brands to pull shoppers through the door in 1992, those customers were already in a mindset to buy clothes and home goods. And crucially, Kohl's kept their sales floor overflowing, with full racks of high-margin private labels ready to capture that intent. In the 2020s, the equation completely inverted. Amazon returns brought in errand runners with zero intent to shop, while Sephora brought in single-item beauty buyers. But this time, instead of keeping the main floor stacked with high-margin alternatives, Kohl's actively gutted the very private label inventory those visitors would need to see to convert. The old playbook fed the core basket. The new playbook starved it. And while Kohl's was busy chasing these new, low-converting visitors, they were actively alienating the core shoppers who had kept the company profitable for 30 years. The loyal suburban customer, the mother buying clothes for her entire family, the shopper who knew every coupon code by heart, walked into her local store and immediately felt the shift. The core categories she relied on were thinned out. The private label clothing she came to buy was crammed into smaller, messy sections in the back. The selection was weaker, the sizes were missing, and the value proposition was completely broken. When core customers couldn't find the staple products they came for, they didn't just complain, they left. Even with annual sales sitting at over $16.5 billion, total transaction volume across all 1,170 locations began to collapse. The high-margin private labels that generated the cash were gone, while long-term debt mounted to nearly $1.64 billion. Kohl's lease-adjusted debt to EBITDA was 3.63 times, an improvement from the prior year but still well above management's long-term target of 2.5 times. Kohl's had traded high-margin, giant shopping baskets from loyal core customers for low-value, single-item visits from people who were just passing through. They got the foot traffic they so desperately wanted, but they destroyed the basket economics that made the business work. The strategy created a devastating paradox. Stores looked busy, but registers told a terrifyingly different story. And once you push your most loyal shoppers out the door, getting them back is nearly impossible. By 2023, on the surface, Kohl's still looked like a massive retail operation. They were generating over $16.5 billion in annual sales and bringing in just under $1.17 billion in cash from running the business. To a casual observer, those numbers might sound like a comfortable cushion. But in the world of high-stakes corporate finance, lenders and Wall Street analysts don't just look at top-line revenue. They look at where the numbers are heading and how much weight the balance sheet is carrying underneath. And underneath, Kohl's was straining under nearly $1.64 billion in long-term debt. The mathematical reality was catching up with them fast. Instead of stabilizing, Kohl's actual leverage surged to a peak of 5.5 times debt to profit. By November 2024, S&P calculated trailing leverage at 4.5 times. In corporate credit evaluation, anything above 3 to 1 is considered dangerously stretched. When a company's debt ratio remains pinned above that threshold, it triggers immediate alarm bells. Why? Because their high-margin private label clothing had been pushed aside, sales conversion was falling, and the cash needed to service that mountain of debt was drying up. And then, the credit agencies delivered the verdict. S&P lowered its grade on Kohl's, specifically calling out how the company was being run. Fitch followed right behind them, cutting Kohl's credit rating from BB- down to BB. In the financial world, BB isn't just a slightly lower letter grade, it's junk status. Dropping below investment grade into junk territory is a corporate nightmare. Kohl's had explicitly warned investors in its own annual report that being downgraded below investment grade would push up borrowing costs and make raising fresh money in the bond market significantly harder. When your debt gets labeled as junk, every loan gets more expensive. Interest payments eat away at your remaining cash, and lenders demand far stricter terms just to keep operating. With borrowing costs spiking and sales under pressure, Kohl's had no choice but to start shrinking its physical footprint. The massive store network that once drove their expansion was now dragging them down. Kohl's shut down 27 underperforming stores spread across 15 states and shuttered its San Bernardino warehouse in May 2025, racking up $76 million in store closing and impairment costs in 2024 alone, as the retailer wiped out over 87% of its total market valuation from its peak $9 billion takeover offer. If junk ratings and store closures weren't enough to shatter investor confidence, the worst leadership scandal in the company's modern history hit the headlines next. Ashley Buchanan took over as CEO, promising to lead the company forward. But just months into his tenure, after about 100 days on the job, Kohl's fired him for cause following an internal review. The issue? The review uncovered a hidden personal relationship with someone selling goods to the company, directly tied to commercial deals he was making. The scandal exploded into public view. Under his contract, the company declared he'd have to pay back part of his $2.5 million signing bonus and forfeit his stock awards entirely. Michael Bender had to step in as interim CEO to try and steady the ship. But for bondholders and lenders, a CEO getting fired for cause after barely 3 months isn't just an embarrassing headline. It's a flashing red warning light that executive oversight and internal controls are completely breaking down. When a CEO is ousted like that after such a short time, lenders naturally start asking the most terrifying question in retail: what else is going wrong behind closed doors? The market's reaction was swift and brutal. Following the 2025 CEO crisis, S&P cut Kohl's credit rating yet again, slashing it all the way down to B+, pushing the company even deeper into junk territory. The stock, which had seen takeover offers of $64 and $65 per share just 3 years earlier, collapsed below $8 per share. The board had tried to fix a sales problem by chasing foot traffic. They tried to fix a traffic problem by sacrificing their highest margin private labels. But when the dust settled, they were left with a broken product mix, junk-rated loans, closing stores, a leadership scandal, and a stock price that had lost over 87% of its value from those buyout offers. The traffic trap had officially sprung shut. This entire disaster leaves every business with 4 crucial lessons about the fatal illusion of foot traffic. First, traffic is not revenue. Millions of visitors dropping off Amazon returns or picking up a single lip gloss at Sephora might make the aisles look busy, but errand runners don't service $1.64 billion in debt. Second, private labels are the lifeblood of retail profitability. Trading away your highest margin, exclusive clothing lines to make room for third-party attractions destroys your gross margins and strips away the exact reason loyal customers shop with you. Third, basket size beats foot traffic every single time. One loyal customer walking out with a full $100 basket of core goods is vastly more valuable than 5 visitors stopping in for a quick chore and walking out empty-handed. And fourth, rating agencies and markets only react after the foundation has already crumbled. By the time S&P and Fitch downgraded Kohl's debt into junk territory and the stock plummeted below $8 per share, the core business had already been hollowed out. They got the crowd, but they destroyed the basket. In retail, pulling bodies through the front door is only half the battle. If you sacrifice the core products that built your brand just to get people inside, you aren't reinventing your business. You're just setting a trap. Kohl's proved that getting millions of people through the door means absolutely nothing if you give them no reason to leave with a full basket.